Okay, so to recap, we are trying to ask the question, find students and the courses we are in. We have two things. If we're doing it by ourselves, we have to take the grade table, which is this one, right? And from the grade table, we have SID here. And we're going to go to the students and match it up. Meaning, say number 4, Kwame, and the course, CID, as the other color. Match it up to the course table, and we have 3, 3. So we know that Kwame is taking programming 1. Right. What we've also done is to list the conditions. Right. So whenever you are programming or writing code, you must be able to think about the problem, how to solve it, even without. I've not written any code so far, but you must be able to think of the step-by-step process to get the result. Right. So this course has my beginning of the course talked about logical thinking, being able to think in a procedural or sort of. What's the word? I can't find the exact word we use. Does anyone remember? Systematic. Right. You have to be able to think of what I'm doing. Can I actually document, write it out as step by step? Once you can do the step by step, then you can actually write a program or code that does something. If you can't do the step by step, it is just like, I don't know, giving a dictionary to a nursery. They'll just be saying a lot of big words, but can't write an essay, can't write a sentence. So you have to be able to do this, to think through the problem. So he had a question first. Okay, so the first condition was student ID. So in the student table, student.sid. So this should be student.sid is equal to what? Grade.sid. So thanks for the correction. So it means that the ID here should match the ID over there. And is everyone okay with the second condition? This is the grade table. So grade.cid should be equal to course.cid. Usually you should get the names right. Okay, so the code for this. So the condition is, how do we join from one table to another? How did you move by connecting the tables? Right. So how do you know that student number 4 is related to the student called Kwame? Right. And you know that because what? In the grade table, the SID is equal to the SID in the student table. So the first condition, right, is the student.sid is equal to what? The grade.sid. So that means that what? That is how I go from this table to that table. So we are just discussing the conditions. It's like asking two people, A and B, are they brothers and sisters? We would say, okay, Kwame's father is equal to what? Kofi's father. That's the idea. Right? Or are you all in the same university? Yes, because her university is the same as his university. Are people okay now? Everybody. So if I asked you in a quiz, can you list the conditions for a specific question? You should be able to list them out. So you look at the tables, then you can draw lines, but after that you should be able to write out. Okay, now the code for this, what we're discussing today is SQL. Right. Does anyone know what SQL stands for? Okay, so someone has been reading ahead, but that's good. Right. So SQL is actually currently more or less industry standard. Anybody in the industry that knows databases actually is familiar with SQL. Right. And so in SQL, you can write a command that a database can use to retrieve the information for you. Right. Now, the way that SQL is written, so today we'll be looking at the select statement. Right. The simplest one is to say select star from table. So that's the very simplest one. Select something from a table. Star here means that get me all the columns, right? So in other where we say select, you can list your columns, column 1, column 2, column 3, all the columns that you want from, and then you list the table. Right. So that's that's the simplest statement, how to get information from a table. Just say what? Select star from table. And you can try this yourself in your Microsoft Access. So I'll make a new okay, query design. But this time I'm not going to drag and drop anything on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and switch to SQL view, right? So that I'll write the queries myself. And actually all the queries you have been, it's been writing for you, the code is behind it. So for example, if I wanted to get all the course information, it will be what? Select star from what? Course. Select star from course. And you can right click and see the SQL. Select star from course. You can only write one query at a time. Okay, this is Microsoft Access. Other tools, they can allow you to write more. But in Access, you can only write what? One query at a time. Right? So this is, for me, how I would write a query for, let me make another sheet for that. Examples of queries. Select all data from the course table. So that's it. How would I select all data from the student table? From, all right. So that's it. So basically, type code today, right? So I can copy this and take it to, where is my access? Let me save this so that we can at least query. All right. Make another one. Create, design. All right. Okay, so let's try and see if she was right. And she's right. So you can see it's actually very easy to write. If you don't believe it, you have to practice a bit, right? So it's not difficult. It's just that if you are not familiar with it, you have to what? Practice. You can't just watch me and then go and sleep. It'll be like a movie. You'll not remember everything. But at least if you see me do something and you also try it out, it sticks a bit. You remember. Okay. So next thing is that we can get everything, but we can also what? Get specific columns. If you want the specific column, you can specify the columns that we want. Right. So if I pick the student table and I want to just get the full names, given the structure I've given here, how would I have written get all the full names from the student table? Get all full names from student table. Using this example that I gave, this simple template here. Sorry, so that's the template I'm using. Okay. I guess it doesn't project very well, this color. Let me pick another one. All right. So any takers? Okay, so someone saying we have to say select full name from students, right? So it gets that one. So this one will actually get for me all full names. So these are all examples. So let me take this code, go and put it in Access and see if it would work. So let's close this, make another one. Sorry. Create. All right. Select full name from students. Okay, so why didn't this work? the spelling, if the spelling doesn't match, it won't work, right? It's just like if I send you to go and call someone and I give you the wrong name, you go jump around and come back. Right? So the spellings are important. It doesn't matter whether it's uppercase or lowercase. At least for Microsoft Access, some databases are case sensitive, right? But at least this one is not. So it doesn't matter if you made it all lowercase. Let's go back to SQL. It doesn't matter. This would work, right? So let's save this one as well. Um, so is everyone okay with getting all the columns or picking some columns? Everyone is okay. On any quiz, you guys will be good. Okay. All right. Tell me so. I hear you. All right. So right now, all the tables that we've been getting from, we have just been picking from one table. What if we wanted to pick from more than one table? If you want to pick from more than one table, from several tables, it's similar. Select, you can list your columns, star or have the column names that are there. We're okay with that. From table 1, table 2, table 3, and so on. So you can have as many tables, just come out separated. So you can, if you wanted to get from more than one table. And our example at the beginning of the class was using more than one table. When we are finding students and courses they are in, how many tables did we need? 3. We needed what? The course, we needed the students, and we needed the grades, right? So to start writing this query, it means that I'm going to have to begin by saying select star from, I needed the student, I needed the grade, and I needed the course. So that's why I'm saying you have to know what you would take. Because if you didn't know that these 3 tables are what you need, you can't tell the computer that these 3 tables are what you need. So you need to be able to know that, okay, these are my tables. So any question that is asked of you, you have to ask yourself, which tables do I need? And you get that by looking at the data or looking at the columns and say, okay, from here, I'll pick this one and I'll go to this. And that means that all those tables are involved. Don't just say, oh, I needed the course name and the student. So I'll pick just course and student. How do we link course to student with just course and student? You needed what? The grade table. So you have to think about it. So just, there are some people who be tempted, whenever any question is asked, to write all the tables that are in the question. Right, 1, 2, 3, and they write it, hoping that we'll grade and just check off. We'll penalize heavily for those who, if you just did, just added everything, just because it's there, you'll not get the right result. Actually, it wouldn't work. Right. So the way you think about it is the same way that what you write the instructions. Okay, so last time we're doing drag and drop, right? So right now everyone should be okay with drag and drop, but we don't want to just be always limiting you to drag and drop. We also want to show you the code that actually is there, right? Now drag and drop and all user interfaces, they are nice, but the reason why we also learn to code is then you can do other things that the person who made the drag and drop didn't make, right? Hope you understand. Because if I write a program for you and you are using my program, it is only the things that I've made icons and buttons for that you know how to use. But if you know how to actually, the actual commands, all the commands that exist, that means that you can do much more than just be clicking. Right. So as aside, right? So this is command prompt. A lot of people rely on command prompt to say, well, you don't use command prompt. A lot of people have been using, where is Windows Explorer? All right. So a lot of people use Windows Explorer. It means that whenever they need to do anything, they need to come here, click, click, click to make it work, right? But you don't really need to know Windows Explorer that much. If you know the commands, you could just also just write a command to copy a file. I mean, we'll do this one day, but anything that you can do, such as, okay, I want to know what files are in my C drive. I can also do the same thing. Okay, so that's how much power I have. I think this one has, there are some files which are hidden. It's mine, I'm showing everything. Okay, that's not accessible. But you can see there's documents, there's downloads. So anything that exists, but it just means that the person who did this would look at the commands and figure out which ones you make. So when you click, it does it. But there are many more, so I'll just do this. Right. So this is a long list of commands that are possible. Right. Association, attribution, call, so many things that are not icons in the screen for you. So someone who knows these, so for example, if you know these commands very well, you can remove a virus yourself. You may not need that. If you know where the file is, even if they lock it, you can actually unlock it and remove the virus yourself. Okay, so that's just an aside to encourage people to learn the commands of programming. That's why we're doing programming. We don't want you guys to always be using software. We want you to create your own software. Know all the commands that are possible. All right, so we're here, select star from. So we can do this with a drag drop, but I'm showing you the code so that you can do it with this way. Now, when it comes to the condition, remember there were two conditions. In order to add a condition, I say where. So this sounds like English. Select star, which is select all from student, grade, and course, where, and then you start listing the conditions. So the first condition is student.sid is equal to grade.sid. And the second condition is what? Grade.cid is equal to course.cid. So now this query is much bigger. Right. The reason now, if two tables are involved, often you have to what? State the conditions that is used to put them together. And the conditions are stated in the query part. Right. So you realize that this is actually very structured, as someone was saying, structured query language. Select, you list your columns. From, you list your tables. Where, specify the condition. So where is the conditions that you as a human being use to put the tables together? That's what you specify in the where part. Right. So I'm going to take this, right, and put it in what's access. All right. Make a new design wizard. All right. So it's actually done. So select star. Now you can see that it's listed all of them, but he said Kwame did programming 1. Was it able to find that Kwame does programming 1? We can see programming 1. Okay, where is Kwame? Let's find Kwame first. Kwame. So according to this, Kwame does 2 courses. So we didn't just have to stop. He actually did all of them for me. Right. That's why if there are millions of records or even hundreds of records, doing this one by one will take a while. But if you know the command, you can quickly just do it for one. Think of one case. This joins to this, joins to this. Right. And then you write the command and it does. So according to this, Kwame, who is on the first and fourth row, let's scroll. According to this, he does do programming 1. It's also saying that Kwame also does what? Programming 3. Is that true? Let's go in and see. Now, this is the fourth one. SID 1. Oh, sorry, SID is 4 here. So it's the same thing, same yellow. So I'll just keep it yellow. Right? So SID 4 still going to Kwame. What about this course? This course is course number 1. Right? And what's course number 1? Right? So according to this, Kwame does programming 3 and programming 1. And is that what the query said? Right? Programming 3, programming 1. Right. Now, sometimes there are many, many columns like this one. There are so many columns. Let me save it first. Okay, save query 2 for a first version. Now, there are so many columns, but in an institution, you'll be asked to bring just a little bit of data. That makes sense. So you can't just send all of this to somebody. Right? So maybe you're just interested in, sorry, SQL. Okay. So you don't always have to bring all the columns. So when you're trying to sort of figure out whether you're right or wrong, you can bring all the columns. But to make the table nice, you can just bring a few of the columns. For example, if I wanted to know just the student full name, it would just be student dot full name. So this, the way we are naming them, so note something dot something, meaning student dot full name, meaning full name from the student table. And you also have, what about the course name? Course dot course name. Right. So those two are what we were interested in. And see, now it's bringing me just a few columns. So if you look at all the information, there are many columns that are involved. But you can pick just the specific ones. So it will do the whole putting it together and then pick the columns that you have specified. So in this case, I can easily see, I have to scroll all the way to the right before. But by specifying the names, I can have Kwame is in programming 3, Kwame is in programming 1, Ya is programming 1, Ifya is in programming 1, Ama is in programming 1. Right. So today I'll end here for the SQL. Right. So by Wednesday, you should be able to do some of these. The quiz on Wednesday will not necessarily have all of this, but every day we do a little bit. Right. So I want you to take your time. Right. We have not done that many things for today. All we looked at was what? SQL. Right. And SQL, we did a few examples, and there are only a few of them. Let's see. Find all courses taken by students. Right. Scroll up. 2014-04. All right. So these are all the queries, and they're actually very simple. I tell me you can learn this in 2 days' time. Select star, select some column, and if you have many tables, you list them where and the condition something and something. You can have more conditions and. Is the student SID being assigned to a grade or GID? No. So this is the primary key, foreign key thing that was there. If I said student SID was equal to, so look at this. So I'll use red in this case so that I can stand up. Red, who is 1? Is AMA taking, so this is programming 3. Does this mean that AMA is taking programming 3? That's what you're saying to me. If you say GID is equal to SID, that's what you're saying. That I'm going to pick 1 and I'm going to come here and say that AMA, that belongs to you. Right. So the design, the person who designed the database, you have to make sure that, that's why last time we said, the primary key, foreign key, think of the links properly. Right? Because if we put data in there and we are writing the queries or writing programs, we have to use the links you give us. Okay, so the last thing for the queries is, you can see I'm adding these where, right? Now, previously, we were just always writing where, and we said we could join, but we can also use the where part. So let me just save this before I continue. Save query 2 4b. Let's make the last one for today, right? So the students, right? For example, I can just say select star from student, right? That brings me all the students. But you can add the where to also what? Pick out specific things. Now, the way you do that is similar to what we did before. Is just say where, for example, student.sid, what's Kwame's ID? Kwame's ID was 4. So we can say where student.sid is equal to 4. There he is. Right. So the where part, anytime you want to specify a condition, you can use the where part. So someone can say, go and bring me just this particular one. You can add in a where maybe driver ID is equal to 106. Go and find me the student whose last name is Kwanzaa. You can do where last name is equal to Kwanzaa. We'll bring it. Go and find me the person whose year group is 2014. Where year group is equal to 2014. So the where is actually used to what? Pick out specific rules. So everyone is okay. All right. So that means that today you have to go through. So what we added was that the where, right? So the where clause, that's the last part of it, right? That is this part, right? Select specific student. Example, select student whose SID is equal to 4, right? So you can write the select star from student. That's the original data. But we want to tell it, process the information further. It's similar to how we use the where when we're picking the courses. But except that this time we say what we want where SID is 4. For example, someone could ask us, what is the course code for programming 1? Right. Now we know that we can select star from course, right? Where? So which course do you want? Where the course name is equal to programming 1. And the question is, what did we say we wanted from programming 1? The course code. So that means instead of just select star, I'll just say select course code. Right. So you can pick a specific column, specify where it's coming from, and you can what? Drill down to the exact item that you want. Right. So programming 1. Right. So you can use any strategy. So it's just equality is the one that would be a lot of our queries will be based on, like a lot of the quizzes as well. So if someone says, "Oh, go and bring me a food that is called Akpalem," you have to write select star from food where name is Akpalem. Right. I can't spell Akpalem though. I hope AKPLE. Oh, okay. I spelled it. I'm happy. Okay. So those are the queries for today. Right. So today I'll end the query stuff here. Right. Now the second thing for today that I wanted to discuss